Morning, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of our live feature on herbs and oils. Today we're going to talk a little bit, sorry, I'm just adjusting. We're going to talk a little bit about skin penetration, and we're going to talk a little bit about herbal solubility. So we spoke yesterday briefly about not overlapping herbal and essential oil constituents, and today we're going to expand on that because depending on how we extract the constituents from our herbs, that will determine what specific constituents we are trying to refine and trying to extract. So I'm just going to go through 5 different extraction methods and the various constituents that they will strongly extract for you. And then we will chat about essential oils and the skin permeation factors of certain essential oils. And then layer by layer, we will put together a really good kind of overview throughout this 21 days of some of the chemistry, I guess, that you should be aware of as you're formulating so that you can be doing so safely. And then I also have, and we'll see if I have time to get to it today, just a monograph on peppermint oil versus peppermint leaf herbal extract, just to show you guys the very strong difference in constituents, but also to show you guys the similarities, so we have a good understanding of how we can use the same plant, I guess, material, not necessarily in the same fashion. So using the herb and the essential oil, and just kind of going over how we can in fact use both of them. It's not a direct link that if you use peppermint essential oil, we shouldn't use peppermint leaf herb, because the actual constituents are different. And so we need to be aware of the chemistry, always be aware of the chemistry and the chemical makeup of whatever essential oil or herb you're using, because that is where your overlap is going to be very critical. So we're going to get into the extraction methods. So there's 5 main herbal extraction methods that really refine out various constituents of an herb. So they are water, alcohol, glycerin, vinegar, and oil. Another one that I use often but actually works identically to glycerin is honey. I use honey in a lot of my topical formulations, and that honey is used in the same way that glycerin is for an extraction tool. So water extracts acids and alkaloids and bitter compounds, as well as flavonoids, glycosides, gums, minerals, mucilage, polysaccharides, tannins, and in the short term, it will also extract volatile oils, but they evaporate readily. So it's not one of the stronger methods to extract essential oils. So again, if you're planning on using an essential oil, then you're going to want to use an herbal extraction method that perhaps does not pull out the specifics of the volatile oil as strongly, perhaps. So water may be a good option for extraction if you're planning on using that herbal preparation in a formula with essential oils. Alcohols also extract acids and alkaloids and bitter compounds, flavonoids and polysaccharides, but they also extract resins and vitamins and minerals, as well as tannins, volatile oils, and many other plant chemicals. It precipitates out mucilage, though, so if you're looking at using it from an actual an oral perspective, it's not the best at tapping into the mucilage portion of the herb. Then we're going to get into the glycerins and the honeys. So glycerin I love, and the glycerin / honey, because it's one that I use often in making topical formulations. Now, you can use obviously any of these any of these preparations and any of these extraction tools in a formulation, but you have the added humectant value of the glycerin or the honey when you're using it for extracting as a tool with the herbal content. So the glycerin and honey extracts bitter compounds, glycosides, polysaccharides, saponins, tannins, vitamins, and to a lesser extent, alkaloids and volatile oils. So it does tap in a small bit to the essential oils, but not in great enough content that it would be, I guess, a real issue. So I will use honey or I will use glycerin to make a glycerite. And then the honey, of course, I use in a similar context to pull out herbal constituents, all depending on, you know, what my end goal is. Like I may work with burdock if I'm trying to work on an eczema cream, because we know that the chemical constituents within burdock show a very strong affinity to helping settle eczema. And so you always have to be aware of your end goal of a formula from a, you know, if we're working in a cosmeceutical type setting, you know, you need to focus on what your end goal of that formula is, and then you need to find the vehicle for extraction or use of that herb, and then you need to find the essential oil that will work complementary to work synergistically with the herb of your choice. So it's one of those things where you always have to be aware, I guess, of the chemistry. And really, this is what all of this boils down to, because it's all fine and good to extract with any of these methodologies. But if we don't know what we're extracting, and we don't know what chemical constituent we're trying to aim for, and we don't know what the end goal of that herb or that essential oil is and what it is bringing to the formula, then we're going to be rather lost in trying to decide what herb to use and what extraction method to use and what formulation method to use as well. So it boils down to a lot of planning when you're getting into your development stage for a formula, and researching what chemical constituents, what herbs, what essential oils. Sorry, my phone is just buzzing. I'm just going to turn that off. What essential oils, what botanical extracts, you know, all of those things. And you have to define which ones would bring a power punch to your formula, essentially, and also be cognizant of how they play with others. You know, because some herbs don't play nicely with essential oils, some essential oils don't play nicely with botanical extracts, and so on and so forth. So it's critical that you really go through that planning stage well and define what your end goal is, and come up with a couple different options for your herb and for your essential oil and for any other botanicals that you're going to be using in the formula. And then, of course, cross-reference those to make sure that they all work well together. So the next extraction method we're going to talk about is vinegar. So that extracts alkaloids, bitter compounds, minerals, polysaccharides, and tannins. I don't use vinegar often unless I am doing, like, I mean, occasionally I will for facial stuff, I guess, but it's not very often. I'm not a huge fan of vinegar. Everybody has a way to work that is best for them, and they have their own favorites, I guess, of things that they like to work with in terms of raw materials. Vinegar has never been one of mine. I'm not a big fan of apple cider vinegar. I'm not a big fan of vinegar extractions, and that is a personal preference. It has nothing to do with vinegar's ability to bring a punch to your formula. It's just a personal preference thing. So lastly, we're going to talk about oil. Now, I'm sure you guys have all done, well, maybe not, but a lot of us have done an herbally infused oil. So we can use those oils in our formulas. We can also make infused oils for cooking. As a matter of fact, I do that quite frequently. But the oil extracts oleoresins and resins and volatile oils very nicely, and then to a lesser extent, gums, mucilage, and tannins. So you'll see that all 5 of those extraction methods really pull something different from the same herb. You could drop the same herb as an experiment into each one of these preparations, and you will be, well, you won't be able to unless you test it, but you would be able to test and see the difference in quality and in strength and in what result it would bring to your end formula, just because each of them really does bring out a different constituent family and a different portion of that herb. So now we're going to talk about, and we're just going to talk lightly on this today. We will get more in depth, like there are pages and pages of information on this. We're talking about essential oils as skin penetration enhancers. So it's not only important to know what herbs and essential oils and botanicals to put into a formula, it's also important to understand the chemistry of how that formula will then penetrate the 4 dermal layers to get to where it needs to go. So it will create impact to the general health and wellness of your user. So we're just going to cover a couple of these today because, like I said, there are literally sheets. This is from the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. It was published in the Journal of Pharmacy and Pharmacology. And it gets into all of the essential, well, not all of them, but a lot of the essential oils, and it tests them for skin permeability and penetration. So eucalyptus, it says eucalyptus, anise, chenopodium, and ylang ylang oils, and it tested them as permeation enhancers, and they exhibited a 30-fold increase in drug permeability. So they tested a known drug with the essential oils, with the known pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, and they had an expected result of this drug. Then they added to this drug, and keep in mind a drug can be a natural substance as well, according to the EU and in Canada and according to the FDA. So any natural health product is considered a drug per se. So this drug that they tested, or perhaps natural health product that they tested for permeability, they actually had an expected result because they had done previous research and testing on this. Now, in using the essential oils with this known result drug, they were able to increase the permeability for the coefficient 30-fold. So ylang ylang and anise were 8-fold and 3-fold respectively, but the eucalyptus was 30-fold. So it actually upped that permeability 30 times faster, stronger, better permeability, better penetration, and better distribution just by adding eucalyptus essential oil. So that's really the only one that I have time to get into today. But like, I mean, there's like lists and lists of this stuff that we're going to go through. And we're going to talk about how we can use essential oils as well as fixed oils as penetration enhancers, and how to do that safely with the herbs we've extracted through these 5 methods of extraction that we talked about today. So sounds like a lot of chemistry and research and data to try and remember, but when you get comfortable in that zone of understanding, you'll be able to cross-reference quite readily in your head as you're working on developing formulas and as you're trying to get from A to Z in your end result for your end user client. So that is it for today. It's day 2 of our herbs and oils for impact and safety, and I look forward to bringing you guys loads more information on this topic. Like I said, it's something I'm quite passionate about, and it's actually something I've implemented in my own life to support myself in my own health journey. So we'll talk more about this as the weeks progress, as the days move on, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. And if you have questions, drop them down in the comments. I would love to answer them for you, and we will talk more soon. And just a quick update, There were a few people asking about the insurance webinar. I am working on that. We're trying to get it within the next 10-ish days. So I'm just waiting on a final date from the insurance broker that I've been speaking with. And she's actually trying to get a representative from one of the insurance companies to come on and speak as well. So I will be setting that up in the next little while and keep you guys all posted. Bye for now. Have a great day, guys.